Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for yet another What We Really Learned from the past Chelsea game. And this time, that, of course, is Southampton 1, Chelsea 1. Sadly, we were held to a very disappointing draw. And I know it's not long before the Arsenal-Man City game, starts. Just watch both at the same time. CFC Mod will be joining us in the next 10 minutes or so. So hopefully he comes on as soon as bloody possible. But until then, I'm still not here by myself. I am joined by my partner in crime, by Mr. Carefree Lewis G. Bro, we've just spoken on your channel, but still, how you been since yesterday?
We are good. 2 points dropped under Tuchel. It is what it is. It's a bit annoying, but we got tougher games coming up, so I just take it on the chin and move on. It's annoying, but it is what it is. I guess we're still unbeaten under Tuchel. It's just the lineup didn't really give us a lot of confidence going into it, and all those thoughts were justified in the 90 minutes straight after that.
It's weird, isn't it? Like, on the one hand, like I'm a bit like you. I'm like, okay, let's just move on. Let's hope we get better results. But at the same time, it's like, okay, this was probably the easiest game of the next few. So making this game arguably even more important. If our next few games were like easier, we'd probably get, quite a few, wins out of those. It's maybe a slightly different situation, but because it's a bit of a, I don't know what to call it, but it's like, it aggravates me even more. Then you see West Ham beating Spurs, and now we're back into fifth again, and it's just a bit of a ball ache. It's just a bit of a ball ache.
Oh shit, we dropped out the top four again, didn't we?
Yeah, because West Ham beat Spurs earlier.
Okay, that's jarring, but here we are.
Exactly. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about, whether it's Thomas Tuchel being an absolute ruthless, like brutal, I don't know, just monster not in a bad way, but just to Callum Hudson-Odoi, even to Tammy Abraham in his post-match press conference, a few comments were like, "Oh right," do you know what I mean? Also, a few questionable decisions. I've spoken about this with CFC Python, obviously Jay McIntosh last night in my player rating stream, that I wasn't very happy with Thomas Tuchel at all. I will get Lewis's thoughts on that. I will get Mod's thoughts on that as well. So we'll talk about all of that. But before any of that, if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. That'd be massively, massively appreciated to help me reach 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible. We're on the road to 10K. We're on 8,500 pretty much, a couple of ways. So let's definitely hit that today. So if you're new here, subscribe to Lewis. Of course, his link is down in the description. Just click his @ and it takes you straight to his channel. And the same goes for CFC Mod as well, of course. But yeah, let's just get into it. Of course, if any of you fancy becoming a member, click the join button underneath, or just use the super chat function if you fancy it. But anyways, there's a lot of things to discuss from yesterday. Obviously, you always do me the lovely favor of, because of your watch-alongs, bringing that thing in here. So I think we should probably talk about the lineup a little bit before we get into anything else, because Thomas Tuchel turned up and surprised me again. Also, this graphics guy for Chelsea needs to sort himself out a little bit and needs to take like a tactical class of football, because he orders them wrong every single time. Every single time
I see this lineup, I think it's a back four initially, and I need to remind myself that Alonso or Chilwell's in the middle of the pitch.
Exactly. Or the fact that it wasn't Rudiger in the middle, it was Zouma in the middle, and Rudiger was the left centre back. I guess maybe that one was a tough one and not 100% to be predicted, but still. So we had, obviously, Mendy was back in goal rather than Kepa, Azpilicueta, Rudiger as the left-sided centre-back, and Zouma as the right-sided one. Rhys James at right wing-back rather than Callum Hudson-Odoi. Alonso on the left. Kovacic still remained in the midfield, but Jorginho was replaced by N'Golo Kante, which I already had my reservations about when the team first was announced, personally. And then the same front three as we had in the last game, actually. Tammy obviously being fit, even though he had to come off against Newcastle. Timo Werner staying as their left inside forward, and Mason Mount on the right as kind of a mix of a 10 and the right inside forward, if you want to call it that. But what were your initial thoughts and reactions when you actually read that lineup?
Mad. Like there was a lot I saw in there that I didn't understand. Like all of our previews, I was saying Chilwell makes more sense to start this game instead of Marcos Alonso, because I feel like he could handle himself being pressed a little bit better than Alonso does. Plus, he could cover space a lot quicker. We didn't need that extra attacker in that game. Granted, our play in the final third wasn't good enough, but are you going to sit there and say Alonso contributed to that? No, he didn't, because he struggled the entire 90 minutes. So there's no reason to say Chilwell could have not had a better performance in that sort of game. Back three didn't really annoy me as such. It just made me think Christensen starting the Atletico game, because it doesn't make sense for Christensen to get benched for any other reason except that Silva isn't going to be back as early as we originally thought. All that says to me is Silva's going to be potentially back for the Manchester United game, which is fine by me. I think we'll do fine with Christensen in the back three anyway. We'll miss Thiago Silva because he is one of the best centre-backs in the world. And the golfing class is still an absolute madness. But it's not like we're going to another player that cannot play the exact same type of role that we've had Silva in there. Yeah, it won't be at the same quality, but we will get by with Christensen on the pitch for 90 minutes. It's not as bad of a golfing class as people are going to try and claim it out to be. So I wasn't too angry about that. My only thing was Kante and Jovic both getting rested for this game. And I mean, maybe I could say for Christensen as well. Like we both said, he can play 2 games a week. If Silva's coming back for the Manchester United game as well, like what was the point in resting him then? Like we might as well just dash him in for this game anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Like I had the similar thoughts. I was like, why is Zouma playing? But then I was like, I hope he's not playing in the middle. But then he did play in the middle, and I wasn't particularly pleased about it. Obviously, in the end, it cost us the goal and arguably the 3 points. I wasn't happy about Kante and Kovacic. In the end, I was kind of right with that as well. And with the front three, I could deal with it. Even Alonso starting, I could deal with it. And then I just wasn't happy with the subs that happened in the game. Tammy taking him off, I agree with, but you changed it, and no one else put a stamp on the game. I actually disagreed with Tuchel and Mount in his post-match interview as well, that we were better in the second half than the first half. I didn't necessarily think that. Yes, we had a few more half chances, but I thought the rest of the play wasn't as good in the second as it was in the first half. And then the whole Callum thing, which of course we will get to, but big up yourself. It's our team, becoming a new member. Like I said, everybody, if you fancy that, click the join button underneath and let us know how you're doing. Make sure you subscribe. That's what we want to see. Justice, obviously, big up Justice. We met him earlier on Lewis's stream. Real name Jared, big up yourself. Saying I get to laugh at expressions and AFTV later, so I'm all good. Exactly. Dave Mealing, I don't know what he said, but welcome into the team. There you go. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the lineup was what it was, right? But starting the game, we started well. Like we started the game well. Let's not kid ourselves. We started all right. Yes, we didn't score for the time being, right? Until obviously the second half. But we started okay. We dealt with their press very well. I even tweeted like a little while into the game, our press resistance on an actual good pitch rather than Barnsley is unbelievable. It was unbelievable. They pressed us as we never lost the ball to their press. Like, I can't, other than in the second half when at times we started punting it again. In the first half, we never punted it. We kept the ball on the ground. We passed our way out of it every time pretty much. I was very happy with it. Just the issue that keeps happening is that we don't get it into the forwards in good positions. And when we do, they bottle it. And that was the frustrating one. We had that one lovely counter-attack, started with a perfect really up through ball to Timo Werner, who did really well, then actually played a shocking pass to Mason, but Mason kind of dealt with it anyway. Played it out to Reece with a lovely eye for the cross to the far post to Alonso, and Alonso with the volley that he sadly put wide. Although I will say this, anyone but Alonso, we're saying, really difficult chance. But because it's Alonso, we know that's what he's good at. We're like, I should have scored it, kind of thing. But that was lovely. Like I was excited. I was seeing good things. I was positive. Then we had a couple of moments when like Kante messed up like the pass, and he could have passed it to Mount, who was basically through on goal. Instead, decided to pass it to Tammy and messed that pass up as well. And then we started to struggle a little bit more. We just couldn't quite do it in the final thirds. And out of nowhere, they go 1-0 up. Werner didn't quite track back enough. Kovacic pushed out, left a lot of space in the middle. Kante couldn't cover it quite all. The pass goes through to Minamino. Zouma had no spatial awareness as to what was going on around him. And, he sits down Aspie, he sits down Mendy, and he makes a 1-0. And on that bombshell, as, obviously the Top Gear always like to call it, we are joined by a new guest, by a very special guest, Mr. CFC Mod. My bro, how you doing? First of all, massive shout out to you for coming on. We had a bit of a mix-up in when we thought it was happening, but man stuck to his word and coming on anyway. How are you, bro?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm glad to finally be on.
Exactly. And of course, Mod started this YouTube channel not too long ago as well. His link is down in the description, so just click the @ in the description, subscribe to him, help him, break all those records on the YouTube as soon as possible, as he has done on Twitter. If you don't follow him, there's no point putting his Twitter in the description. I see it as nearly impossible for you to be subscribed to me and watching this, but not follow Mod on Twitter. I just can't see that. Anyway, we were just talking about the lineup, but you just want to quickly run me through your thoughts when you saw the lineup initially yesterday?
It was very, very interesting. But I was trying to keep my reservations down, not to I was going to wait till after the game before I made any final judgments. But it was not. It was more about what happened during the game than the lineup itself. You know, I feel like Rhys James as a wing back is not the best option. So it was just, I don't know. I was just confused, honestly. I was happy to see him, obviously, but I was hoping to see a back four instead. The Kante and Kovacic pairing was very interesting to see. I feel like they both had a decent game, but they still don't work the best together. Yeah. And Tammy also, seeing Tammy definitely surprised me. I was expecting to see someone like Giroud or someone in the lineup. And obviously Hudson-Odoi not playing also surprised me, but I assumed it was to rest him for Atletico Madrid. So yeah, those were my initial thoughts when the lineup came out.
Exactly. Like, obviously, like I said to Lewis just a minute ago, I was surprised by Zouma starting. I was like, why is that happening in the back three? I don't really rate Zouma that highly in the back three. I said this all along, and, you know, Lewis was like, why is Zuma, you know, not playing over Riddick? I'm like, hey, in the back three, I just think Riddick gets better. But, you know, why was Christensen dropped? I don't understand it. Lewis obviously made a fair point. Maybe it just means that Thiago won't be fit for Atletico, and he wanted to make sure that Christensen is maybe all good. So that is a fair argument. And like I said, you know, we started the game okay. The press resistance was very good, but we just couldn't quite do in the final third. And out of nowhere, we were 1-0 down with poor defending from Zouma. Not quite tracking back enough for Werner, I thought, and a couple of people touched on as well, meaning Kovacic had to push out. And we're 1-0 down. And we get to half-time, nothing really changes. And we make that sub, right? We make that sub, we bring Callum Hudson-Odoi on for Tammy Abraham. First of all, I want to touch on Tammy. Obviously, Mod just mentioned his name there. Tammy is a weird one because I thought he was poor, but I also thought he didn't actually get a single ball where I'm like, yeah, you should do more with that. Like, it's a bit of a, when the rest of the front, or when the final third play is just poor, any striker will struggle. Whether we would have had Giroud on his own, whether we would have had Timo on his own, whether we would have had bloody Haaland on his own up top. Anybody would have struggled. Anybody would have struggled in that situation. And so I thought a few of the comments on Tammy were a bit harsh, also by Tuchel after the game, part of the title as well, saying, he didn't manage to put his stamp on the game, which wasn't wrong, but also like, well, as a striker, you're kind of dependent on people around you to feed you with things that you can actually do something with. And I didn't think he got that. Did you, Lewis?
Only in some cases. It's a bit of a sticky one still. Who are we talking about specifically on this?
Tammy.
Yeah, Tammy, like, I don't know. I'll give him the credit because the effort was there. I can give him the respect for that, but effort only takes you so far. Like, I look at his overall game, his overall performance. He just got bullied for the entire 90 minutes. Lost possession a bunch of times, looked very static when he was on the ball. Literally no real positives to take out of it, but there was also just barely any impact from him either.
No, you're totally right. Like, there was definitely no impact pretty much. And yeah, he dropped back to like help up with the build-up play a couple of times and did okay with it more often than not. But when he was played through balls, either they were way too far out wide, and we know don't put Tammy out wide. Yes, I know he's had a couple of assists even from the wide areas, even this season. But don't put him there if you don't necessarily have to. And that's why we have wingers to play out on the sides. Don't play Tammy on the side, because if Tammy's on the side, who's going to score in the middle? He's the only one that scores tap-ins. No one else does. So leave him in the middle, for God's sake. But anyways, we made that change. Also adapted the formation slightly, going from a 3-4-2-1 more to a 3-4-1-2 with kind of a Werner left striker, Hudson-Odoi right striker, Mason as a mix of a 10 and a false 9 between them. But it didn't really change anything, did it? Yeah, okay, for the first 10 minutes of the second half, we're better, a bit quicker in the passing, getting more in the box. As Tuchel, his favourite thing to say is touches in the box, apparently his favourite thing, after maybe counter-press. And then we get the penalty. Shocking challenge by Ings. Anyway, we take it. Mount scores. It's 1-1. And then I'm sat there saying, oh, come on. We got the equaliser quite quick. Plenty of time left. We're going to win this now. We're going to win this now. But what happened after that, Mod? Because nothing happened.
Yeah, that's what really frustrated me, because the energy that we had in the second half, I'm like, why couldn't we start that way in the first place? And why did we drop off after we equalized? I feel like the gameplay changed drastically. We became more lethargic in the final third. We're way too casual, and we were not like looking for that second goal. So I was thinking, yeah, we have like at least 30 minutes to get the second goal, but it never came. Our presence in the final third was so bad, so poor, and it was so frustrating to see, honestly.
It really was frustrating to see, and you make a good point there. Why did it drop off so much? And Tuchel even mentioned this himself once already before the season. I think it might have been Sheffield United, when he was like, "Yeah, we played well until we scored, and then after we scored, it kind of just stopped." And that's not only just been a Tuchel issue, that's been an issue for years at Chelsea. Even though we've had totally different players, that's always an issue. And I always find it super strange, and I'm going to get your thoughts on that as well. When issues remain the same at a club, even though the players change and the managers change and the staff changes, how can it be that the same issues stay? Even though totally different team, totally different managers, staff, everything. Why do the issues stay the same? Like like I touched on Lewis's stream earlier, no one ever arrives at the far post. We don't, get the ball quickly enough from the midfielders to the attackers. You have someone in the defense making a positional error like Zouma yesterday. All these things just keep bloody happening. Our strikers loving to fall over, like whether it was Morata or whether it's now Tammy. It just pisses me off. But do you have an explanation for why that keeps happening, Lou? Like, it's just weird to me.
I don't know. Like, this is the thing. This has gone past managers. This has gone past different coaching teams. This has gone past everything. We just ain't clinical, man. We just ain't clinical. Like, that's the only other word to describe it. I said from the minute that we drew Atletico, the one thing I want to see improve from this team over the next few months is we need to be more clinical in front of goal, because that's the one thing that will hold us back against Atletico. That game's now 2 days away. We still ain't clinical. So I don't really know what to say. Maybe we'll just do our typical Chelsea thing and just go and actually get a goal out of 1 or 2 chances and shit out the game or something like that. I don't know. This club is so unpredictable. But same way, it's like the only thing I can predict is we will waste a few chances.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We will waste chances. We will waste half chances. The amount of moments we had, and Jester or Jared mentioned it on your channel earlier, saying Mount had moments where he could shoot, but instead passed. But also it was a case of, he was like, do I pass or shoot? Do I pass or shoot? Took too long to decide, then decided not to shoot, passed it instead, played a bad pass instead. And that happens just so often with us. Mount obviously completely different in the second half. Big ups to him for that second half. But it's just an issue that keeps happening. And, Tuchel keeps talking about it, saying like, lack of precision, and I need to make sure that we create bigger chances. But why doesn't he just have one more forward? Then you need to be less precise because you have one more dude to pass to. So I get maybe it's a case of not trusting a back four without Thiago Silva. But that's where I come to the next substitutions. In the 76th minute, not only was he extremely harsh on Callum Hudson-Odoi, taking him back off, also bringing Kovacic off for Jorginho rather than taking Kante off for Jorginho to give us more of a creative, fluid midfield to press more. If anything, bringing Jorginho on for Kovacic makes us more defensive than we were before that. So all very strange to me, and no formation change. Did you think and hope for a formation change when the game kept going on like it was, Mod?
I mean, yeah, I feel like this was the first game where I feel like he got the substitutions wrong. I was really surprised to see like Chilwell still on the pitch. I was expecting to see maybe Hudson-Odoi switch to the left wing back. He's more like, clinical on the left wing. So I was expecting him to switch over. I wasn't expecting to come off completely. So that surprised me a lot. And also Kovacic. I feel like Kovacic was one of the very few in our midfield. I mean, obviously more than Kante, who was actually trying to like deliver the balls to the final third, was trying to just whatever he can do, just try and throw the ball into the final third. And he took him off. So I was like, what's going on? Why is Kante still on the field, So yeah, it was very, very surprising. I was expecting him to change the formation, at least change it to a back four, because obviously you have more defenders than attackers on the pitch and when we need to get a second goal. So yeah, it was just very strange to me.
Yeah, it is. It's our team saying people have said Tammy's a goal hanger. Can you tell me what a goal hanger is, Lou? Because I don't know.
Goal hangers, them man when you're playing football for a kickabout and you got those guys who literally just stand next to the net and just wait for a ball to come near to them.
Because there's no offside.
Ignoring the offside. Yeah, you don't play offsides. So like you can literally stand by the goal. Those are who them man are.
I reckon surely that's Morata with how often he's been offside, but
definitely it's more a Morata Higuain thing.
Yeah, therefore. But yeah, I think the change into a back four, even at halftime, I thought maybe. But the latest when he made that double sub, like you could have just taken, rather than taking Callum back off, just bring Ziyech for Alonso, push Aspie to left back, change to a back four and try it. Like, okay, it's better to get 1 point than no points, I get it. But it's also better to get 3 points than 1 point. And that has a bigger difference. So go for it. And hey, again, I've said this on Lewis's stream before, just because I criticized Tuchel with this, and I think he got pretty much everything he could have gotten wrong yesterday, he did get it wrong. that doesn't mean he's now a bad manager or whatever else. Like, the guy's not managed in the Premier League before. This team is still new to him. Of course, he'd get it wrong every now and again. Fair enough. Totally fair enough. But I do want to get to the ruthlessness because, it ended up we didn't manage to create any huge chances other than Mount setting up, obviously, Reece James for that volley, which he should have done better with. As much as it's very difficult to take balls on a half volley, should have done better with. We know he's good at shooting, so he can certainly do better. And he was, disappointed in himself. He should have done better. It's a winner. And then we sit here and talk about very different things, saying, Tuchel changed it and we won. And Mason Mount is brilliant and Reece James is brilliant and everything's great. But because we didn't get the goal, it didn't happen like that. And then I want to get to the ruthlessness because to take Callum Hudson-Odoi back off, even if he said, gave his good reasons, and I rated that from Tuchel, not, mess about saying tactical reasons, blah, blah, blah. He said, didn't like his energy, didn't feel him today. He needs to do better, so I took him back off. End of story. But was he worse than Alonso? Was he worse than Werner? In terms of work rate, maybe than Werner, fair. But in terms of Alonso, and Tuchel even hinted at it slightly, that he was maybe considering Alonso. Because he was like, Callum was on my side. Because obviously in the second half, our right side was where Tuchel was stood. And maybe because obviously Callum was on the right, he kind of saw it more, that it annoyed him more, while Alonso was obviously on the complete other side of the pitch. So he even said maybe it was unfair. But I don't get it. Like, I still think probably ends up a good thing for Callum. But I think in terms of trying to win the game yesterday, it would have been better. It would have been better to take Alonso off, change formation, and try to win it like that. I really think so. And the chat bigging up Mod. I big up Mod. Come on. And like I said already, subscribe to him. Link is in the description. Subscribe to Luis as well. Subscribe to me. Help me reach 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible and smash that like button right now. Become a member if you're fans. Use the super chat function, all of the good stuff. But Lewis, I know we touched on it already. Before I get Mod's more in-depth thought, because I kind of know yours already. What did you make of it when he took Callum off? Did you think that was crazy? Do you think in hindsight, fair enough? And also, do you think he just got it wrong in terms of he should have taken someone else off?
I think, I would have preferred to see a change in tactics, but I don't understand it either. Because the guy that we brought in, Ziyech, was worse.
Yep.
So I really don't get. But I'm not going to take too much on it because, for me, it depends on how we react to it. If his next few games are poor, it's probably going to be as a cause of this. If the next few games are brilliant, it's also going to be a causal result for this. But that's also where he might actually be correct when he's talking about Hudson-Odoi's mentality. Because now it's up to him whether to prove Tuchel wrong or not. He said, I don't rate your mentality. Now he's saying, go out there and prove me wrong. Now it's up to him to go and prove him wrong.
Yeah, fair enough. And Rodrigo actually, gave us a donation for that. Big up yourself, Rodrigo, for that. Saying, actually, I think Tuchel loved Callum and wants him to deliver. That's why he seems harsh with him and knows the buttons to push. Tuchel is a smart man. And you're not wrong with that. Like I said, I agree that it could work out really well for Callum. But in terms of winning yesterday's game, it wasn't the right decision. And we said this before, we basically have one cup final after the other. If we want to make top four, it's so tight. We need to just keep winning, and we can't afford to drop points unnecessarily. And like you said, Ziyech was worse than Callum was. And I did also say, if we had 5 subs in the Premier League like all the other leagues do, he probably would have taken Ziyech back off. He probably would have done. 10 minutes later, I said, no, I'm not having this. I'm not having this. But Mud, what did you think, first of all, to what Rodrigo said, and also just in general? Did you think he just got it plain wrong? And do you think it could be a good thing for Callum, or do you think it will just ruin his confidence?
No, I mean, I hope it's going to be a good thing, because it's going to impact him largely. Like you said anyway, like Lewis said, it could be a very, very positive one or a very, very negative one. I'm hoping that it's going to be the positive one, obviously. It was a very strange one, because I felt like he spoke to Callum, obviously at halftime. He told him exactly what he wanted him to do, and it seemed like he just was not doing it. So I feel like that's going to mess with him a little bit up there, like what was I doing wrong and stuff like that. But I honestly genuinely feel it was the wrong decision, because there were definitely players who were worse than him on the pitch, and I feel like Callum simply just offers something different in the attack, something like a bit more flair in the attack. So I feel like he got that wrong in terms of winning the game, as you said.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I personally think Callum starts against Atletico Madrid. I personally think he will, and he won't be taking him off or anything like that. And I think it will just be a proper kick up the butt, and he thinks it will work. And Lewis said, Ian said it maybe at Chelsea, this is the wrong place to be so ruthless. But I think it only becomes an issue if he now leaves Callum out for a month. If he starts him on Tuesday, no one will care. No one in the squad will care. Callum won't care. It's all fine. But if he now leaves him out, it's a tricky one. Obviously, someone put here in the chat some comments by Thiago Silva, apparently. Obviously, didn't fact check this, so I just hope you're not lying, Sabrina. Sorry for butchering your name. But anyways, saying, Silva said, I made a bad mistake in my first game with Chelsea, something you normally don't expect from me. After that day, I started to analyze our opponents, how they press, and how I can be faster than them. And this, ladies and gentlemen, if it's true or not, if it's not true, then he should be doing it. If it is, that's why he's as good as he is, and other defenders aren't, because he does things like that. 36, making sure he's fit. I know he got injured now, but general, just quick.
That's got the coaching part in him as well, because he's trying to get his coaching badges and all that. So exactly. That fits in as well with, if you're a coach, you do need to be able to look at these teams early and way before you face them. So like that just builds into it as well. But continue anyway. Just want to add that point.
Our team said, in my opinion, this game screams for Kyle and Pulisic. Unlucky they were injured. Yeah, but at the end of the day, managers and the team need to try to deal with games as best as they can without being injured, like Liverpool do. Obviously, we don't have as many injuries, but still, we need to. And I do want to talk about, obviously, we touched on the Hudson-Odoi thing now, and I do think it will end. And I'm okay, even though, like I said, don't think it was the right time to do it yesterday. How do we fix that attacking 30?
City already. Only 1 minute.
Come on. Who's good? What's 1 minute? It's literally first minute play.
1 minute. Yeah. Is that Sterling? Yeah, Sterling 1-0. Nice. Makes me happy. Nice.
Guys, you will basically have a stream talking about Southampton and also Lewis doing a watch along. So, we'll mix everything together.
Everything in one.
Exactly. But I do want to.
Sterling winning a header against Holding. You're taking the piss. No way. Nah, this defense ain't serious. Oh my gosh.
That is brilliant. But I do want to talk about how do we solve the final third issue, because it's been an issue ever since Thomas Tuchel took over. Realistically, we haven't scored enough goals. Even though we won almost all but 2 games, it's still been a bit of an issue. But also, it's been a bit of an issue for the last couple of months under Frank Lampard. Before that, it wasn't. Mind you, December 5th, we had scored the most goals in the Premier League and conceded the least goals in the Premier League. So, clearly these issues weren't an issue all the time. But why are they such an issue now? People obviously have a complaint of Mason Mount, wrong decisions, whatever. Mount, I let off the most of this because he's not used to playing this high up the pitch. He's getting there now. So I let him off for this because he's used to play a bit deeper, not the kind of passes that he usually plays. But the other ones, Timo Werner on and off, Tammy on and off, Giroud when he's played, not been good. Hudson-Odoi as a wing-back, yeah, done okay, but actually when he played more forward, I actually thought he struggled more than when he played as a wing-back. Pulisic, when he did play, not quite at it. And Alonso, when the guy's about to cross, I just know for a fact that it's not going to come off anyway. So it's like, how do we solve that issue, in my opinion? Because we really need to. I still think the easiest fix is having Kai Havertz back and playing a 4-2-2-2. But we can't do that right now. But surely we have to find some sort of solution. Do you have an idea of how to fix it? Or is it just a case of we need to wait for these players to gel, to understand the whole system? And is it also a bit of getting unlucky? What do you reckon about it, Mod?
Yeah, what's it called? I feel like for the manager right now, it's a very, very difficult situation, because when you look at our attacking players, okay, is Hakim Ziyech looking like the player that he is? No. Is Pulisic looking like the player that he is? No. Havertz, Werner, so occasionally, Hudson-Odoi at some point. So when all your forwards and attacking players are completely off it, it's very, very hard to expect something from them. So that's why I feel like we're so lethargic in the final third, because these players are just not on the game. When they were on the game, you saw what they could do. You saw what Ziyech was doing initially. You saw what Pulisic was doing. So I feel like once these players start getting in the stride and start performing better, then everything's going to click. But right now it's very difficult because the players who we expect to perform in the final third are not performing. So it definitely limits our attacking output. So yeah, it's a very tricky one.
It really is a difficult one. Lewis, do you have I don't know, first of all, your thoughts on struggling so much in the final third, but also like some sort of idea how would you try to fix it if you were obviously in Tuchel's situation?
I'm not sure how we fix it in a sense, because it's like the first time where we've ever looked at it and we thought there's just a bit of it. It's the first time there's been like question marks, but it's only question marks right now. Ziyech, like, I think it's a case of sharpness. I still think he needs to get a proper run of games in him because he's only had 11 full matches, or the equivalent to 11 full matches in the space of nearly a year. So it's clearly obvious that this guy has no sharpness about him, and it's showing on the pitch as well. The only problem is he ain't going to have enough chances to show that game time. Is that going to be 2-0? Is that they're gonna get torn apart in this match? I swear down. Man City have no respect for this team, and I'm all for it. But yeah, on the case of Hakim Ziyech, it's a frustrating first season for him. But like, we need to have the same patience that we're having with Havertz for him. I think the reason why we don't is because he's banged out so early. It's like, cool, we know what you're capable of. Now we want to see it every week. That's not going to be the case, especially the lack of sharpness that he has.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Ziyech is a difficult one anyway. And I want to get more in-depth thoughts on it from you, Mod, as well. I mean, for me, Ziyech, like Lewis said, he hasn't played a lot of football, actually, in a full year. Obviously, the Dutch league was suspended and terminated rather than just postponed, obviously, to an after restart situation. So he didn't play a competitive game of football between March 7th and when he returned from the knee injury that he picked up in our one preseason game against Brighton. Then he was fit for like 2 months, played well for us, had some really, really good games, played well for Morocco as well, picked up another injury, a hamstring injury, I think it was, or was it an adductors, one of them. And he was out for a little while. And then he comes back from that and he's just a shadow of what we saw for those 2 months. Like half of the passes aren't coming off, like he keeps losing the ball under pressure every single time. His back passes aren't coming off, not linking up with really anybody, and just struggling left, right, and centre. And obviously, there's been rumours now he wants to leave Chelsea. I don't necessarily believe that he will give up that easily. I don't see him as that kind of guy. But it's a struggle. And Jester said this earlier. We just have too many players to do the same thing. And it is true. It is true. It's kind of like we signed Ziyech, and then we realised, there is also a chance to sign Havertz. So let's sign both. But actually, what do we do with both? It's kind of what it seems like. Obviously, under Frank, it was a bit different because he actually used Ziyech as a proper right winger that leaves gaps for both of them. But if it's only one of them, the way we play right now, and it probably is only one of them, it's a problem. Like, it's a problem. We have too many players to do that thing. You have Mason Mount being our best player all season. It's just not quite happening now, is it? And Ziyech, what do you make of that? Do you think that's a bit of an issue that we have too many players to do similar things, Mod?
I mean, I feel like a lot of people need to put more perspective on things. Like they don't care what's happening outside. As soon as you're on the pitch, perform. We don't care what excuses that you have. Like you said, this guy he didn't play for a very, very long time. And when he finally got the opportunity to, he got injured. Okay, then he started performing. Like, I feel like that the way he was performing was very, very underrated. Oh, it's 2-0.
Oh,
2-0.
Okay.
Wait, I'm about to see it.
Wow.
It's from the kickoff, isn't it?
Wow.
All right, who blundered this one then?
It's everything all in one. So yeah, I mean,
this is only going to get okay. They've actually played their way out of that. Go on.
So yeah,
Go on,
false alarm.
It's not 2-0. It's not 2-0.
Okay.
Damn false alarm! I've been lied to.
Yeah, sorry, man. It's a sticky one still.
Exactly. Go on, Mod. Go on. What were you going to say?
Yeah, so the time when he came back and he was performing like at a very high level was so underrated because he was not playing football for a long time. He got injured and he came back. He was playing so well. So people had like very, very high expectations after that. But now I feel like reality needs to set in for a lot of people and give him the time. He's coming to a completely different league. He struggled a lot getting to the team, getting fitness and everything. So we know what he can do. I feel like he just needs a bit more time and consistent run of games. I feel like people don't understand how well consistent run of games affects your game time. I mean, your performance rather. So yeah, once he gets that, I feel like things will get better for him eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree, and I do hope for the same things, and I do still think he will come good. I'm just not sure how much game time we will get, quite frankly, because do I see him as a better player than Havertz? No. Do I see him as a better player than Pulisic? No. Do I see him being played over Timo Werner, even if I rate him better at a fair few things? Probably not. And then there is obviously the talk about us trying to get, Erling Haaland. Do we pull it off or not? But hey, if we get Erling Haaland as well, that leaves even less options for anybody in the team. It's all crazy out here. It's all crazy out here. I do want to talk about something else because obviously we're kind of repeating ourselves saying like, we don't know how to fix it, but we just need to fix it. And we really do. But the Kante and Kovacic midfield. I want to touch on this. Lewis and I have spoken about this many times. It just ain't it. It just ain't it. And Frank didn't get it. And now Tuchel tried it. I hope he got it and won't do it again. But it just ain't it. And especially the fact that he made Kovacic sit more when he was the guy that was more aggressive in the last few games and played so well. And now he kind of changed his role to do different things, more defensive things, just kind of ruining all of it. I just don't understand it. Kante was brilliant in winning the ball back. Brilliant. But then when he had the ball, he bottled it nearly every time. And it was just pointless. And that's Kante. If he gets in the final third, he's kind of in a way more, other than when he scores a screamer solo goal like he does a couple of times. But unless that happens, he's kind of just stood in the way. We end up crossing it to him like we did against Arsenal, or he ends up just being where he shouldn't be, And it really ground my gears. Like, Southampton is not the game to play a Kovacic-Kante duo. Do it against Southampton, against Liverpool, against Man United. Fine. But not Southampton, for goodness sake. Not Southampton. Obviously, just quickly, Lewis, what do you make of that before I get Mod's thoughts on that? Like, the Kovacic-Kante just ain't it, is it?
They're good as individuals, but they don't mesh together. And in midfield too, you need to be able to link up and have a good understanding of each other. And Kante, I thought his game was good in two ways. Like, he was good in the sense of he was always able to break up play. Even when he lost the ball, he quickly won it back. But there were times where still his passing just continuously let himself down. But you can't complain about it too much because then he goes and wins the ball back. So it's like, yeah, like we're still getting the majority of possession, but we're still struggling to do much of it because we keep turning the ball away a bit too much. So it's a bit of a sticky one with N'Golo. Kovacic had to drop a lot deeper as well, so he was a lot less involved. That's why it was good individual performances, but in terms of impact, there still weren't much there.
No, there really wasn't. Mod, what about yourself? Do you agree with that, or do you have any different opinions on that?
Yeah, definitely. I keep saying this, man. That pivot of Jorginho and Kovacic, it's the winning midfield. They tick. They work. I call them brothers, even. Like they feel like they've been playing together for so many years. They understand each other. Jorginho is the one that mostly sits back, and Kovacic is allowed to progress the ball to the final third. He's very, very good at progressing the ball progression. So when Kante was on the field, that limited him completely because we saw Kante roaming upwards the pitch a lot more often, and Kovacic had to sit back to compensate for that, and that completely limited his game. Kante, I feel like he's almost always going to pass the ball backwards whenever he receives the ball, and if he does attempt to do anything to get the ball forward, it's going to end up in a mess. So defensively, yeah, he's very good, but just to offer anything going forward, he's very, very poor. So yeah, they just don't work well together.
Yeah. I mean, and the problem really is, if you think about it, I mean, our team said it here, Kova and Georgie are like our own version of Xavi and Iniesta, just not quite as good. I'm not 100% sure I quite agree with that far, but the problem is you can put them in a 3, but that means you also take one attacking player out, and you don't really want that with a few games of an exception. So we're kind of sat here with 3 midfielders that are really good at certain things. Jorginho is incredible at controlling and dealing with the flow and the pace of a play. Great at it. Kante is one of the best players at winning the ball back, at tackling. Recently in his form, not so good. He gave too many fouls away, but yesterday back to his very best at that. Kovacic, one of the best dribblers in the world, just doesn't have an end product, and his defending is sometimes good, sometimes not so much. So we have these 3 very different types of midfielders, and kind of we only need 2 of them, and 2 other ones of them don't work together at all. So it's like, yeah, it's just a bad combination. Even though they're great players, that's just a bad combination to have all 3 in a weird way. And it's tricky. I mean, Sarri tried his bloody best to make all of them work, and even he struggled. And then people, this is not Kante's position, blah, 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 whatever it is. Even he tried to put all of them 3 in, and it did okay, but then he always made the 70th minute substitution for Kovacic and Barkley. So, like, it's just a tough one, and we need to, obviously, we keep talking about it. We absolutely have to just get a proper DM, but I still don't know then who. I mean, I guess it's probably Jorginho that then leaves or is out of the team, but we need a proper DM. We really absolutely need a proper DM, because otherwise we won't fix that midfield issue. And obviously we've spoken about the front 3 already as well, but it's an interesting shout by Itzartin saying he trusts Kai Havertz to be a clinical finisher once he starts playing in a false 9. I don't necessarily disagree. Like, Kai can certainly do that in terms of having Werner like off to him off his left, and then maybe a Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi on each side, or Pulisic and Ziyech on each side, or whatever else. there's a lot of going for that. It also puts Reece James in his much better position as a right back. It puts Chilwell in the team as a left back. I don't need Alonso there. Just what that requires is good defenders, good centre backs. Because as a back three, there's less pressure on them. Yes, I know Zouma made a mistake yesterday, but I said this already. It happens. We made one mistake. Southampton had 2 chances all game. You can't even be mad at the defenders. You can't even say they had a bad game. Zouma made one mistake. Other than that, our defensive performance was very good. It's just I do believe that Kai can do it. We just need the defenders to actually be good enough to do it. But do you agree with that? That Kai can be one of those clinical finishers and also be the guy that eventually, once he hits form and gets more used to things, be the guy that links all of these kind of loose ends that we have right now. I would call Werner a loose end. I would call Hudson-Odoi to some extent a loose end because no one's making use of his play down the right. Pulisic, too much injuries to almost define it as anything right now. But these other 3 players, Mason Mount behind him as well, I would call them loose ends. Do you think Kai could be the guy to bring them all together, Mod?
I'm definitely not opposed to it, and we definitely know that Kai is a much better player when he's higher up the pitch. And I feel like he's much better than Tammy in the air. Tammy is a very funny player in the air, man. I don't know, he's just tall, but he's just so awkward with the way he plays, you know? So I feel like Kai can offer more in that sense. I'm not sure about him being our permanent striker, if you want to call it that, but I feel like he can definitely get the job done if he has to.
For sure. Like, I think with Timo Werner being so limited in terms of how you can use him, I think you get the best out of Werner if you play Kai as a false 9 next to him. It just needs the midfield and defense to be good enough to deal with so much attacking power on the pitch. What happens if we get Haaland or any other striker that's actually a proper striker, not like Werner, and he's actually very good? I don't know how we probably ends up being I don't even know. Either a 4-4-2 diamonds or a 4-2-3-1, but that would mean Werner plays on a wing or doesn't play at all. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, but Lewis, do you think Kai can be that man that we need to fix it all together for this season before we obviously talk about or before we even consider transfers for next season?
Definitely. Like, we've seen his record in the second half of seasons anyway. He always seems to kick on towards the end of the season, so I'd work to his strengths. I think playing him in a false 9, I think you could get the best out of Timo Werner in that instance as well. I do want to see Kai Havertz get a bit stronger, but I feel like what he offers technically is levels clear of what either Giroud or Tammy Abraham could offer as well. So I wouldn't be against seeing it in a game anyway. Oh, Saka. Yeah. Aubameyang literally just blocked the Saka goal. That's mad. Oh, well.
These men are just funny. These men are just funny.
Like, offside because of it. Ha! Low. Go on. Sorry, man.
There you go. No. I get you. It's all good, bro. Another couple of things that I want to talk about in terms of Atletico Madrid. Obviously, I will be doing an Atletico Madrid preview with Matisse and Euro Expert tomorrow afternoon at, again, 4 p.m. UK time. So I will get more in depth about it then. But like I said, I think Callum Hudson-Odoi starts there. What do you think about the rest of the team? Because obviously I won't talk with either of you guys before that game again. So what do you think about that one? Because, Southampton's in the past now. We dropped points out. We just have to move on. Upwards and onwards, as we say. Try our best against Atletico. Do the same against Man United, Liverpool, and whatever the tough games after that are, right? We have to just kick on. Hope it doesn't harm us in the long run, and we just have to kick on. But in terms of Atletico, obviously it's kind of a fake away game. Away goals count, but it's not a home ground for Atletico. But what do you think about the team? I just can't see him changing the shape now, even though I feel like Tuchel would like to actually go back 4 now after this game. But I don't think he will risk it for a first time against Atletico. And what do you think about the rest of the team? Is it just as simple as Mendy, Rudiger, Christensen, Aspi if Thiago Silva isn't fit? Jorginho, Kovacic, Alonso, Hudson-Odoi, and then a front 3? Or do you have any more outrageous shouts that maybe one of you guys is better at predicting Thomas Tuchel? Because so far, every single time a lineup comes out, I'm like, what? What?
If you can't predict him, I can't predict him. I promise you that. I don't even get the press conferences.
There you go. But what do you think? And Dave, first of all, cheers for tuning in. And I will try to remember to scroll back up and answer these questions. Don't worry, bro. But take care.
The game with Atletico is an interesting one because I feel like we're playing against a very compactly defensive side. So it's going to be a very, very difficult one. I still feel like he's not going to change the system. We're going to see 3 at the back for sure. And I'm expecting the routine players like Mendy, Rudiger, Christensen, perhaps Thiago Silva, who knows. And yeah, I'm expecting Hudson-Odoi to start. I hope he starts because that's gonna make a statement and it's gonna like help him with the confidence.
Do you think he'll start
Perhaps
as right wing back?
Yeah, I think he's gonna start as a right wing back because Rhys James probably gonna go back to the bench, I feel. So yeah, Chilwell on left wing back perhaps after the Alonso game. I'm not so sure. The midfield is gonna stay the same with Kovacic, Jorginho, Mount. That's what I feel like. With perhaps Werner and Giroud. I want to see Giroud against Atletico. I feel like we can deal with his aerial presence. What's it called in the box.
That is a fair shout, Drew. Certainly a fair shout. I think there's two ways about it against. See, that's the problem with our strikers. You have Tammy, who's kind of the mix of the two variants, but just is dreadful in the air, even though he shouldn't be with how tall he is. Giroud, who's just super slow, but good in the air.
Yeah.
And then you have Werner, who isn't a striker, and like if you manage to put him through, there's a chance because obviously his pace. But if you don't, then you're like kind of wasting a whole position. So it's a really tricky one. I could certainly see the Giroud thing, and I would love if Hudson-Odoi plays a right wing back because my opinion ahead of this game is this is the away game. Just get a goal or two. Just even if we draw 2-2, doesn't matter. We get the away goals, and then at home we can do the more defensive approach and say, "All right, come on, then Atletico, come on, show us what you got," and we can try that, but don't do it away. Away, we need to go all out. Just make sure we don't get battered, obviously, right? We need to go all out and just make sure we score because it will be difficult enough against Atletico, even though they conceded a fair few in the recent games. Because I looked at the defensive record over this weekend. I think now they've conceded 16 in 25 games or whatever it is. No, not 25. I don't know, but 16 goals. But actually 10 of those have happened in the last 7 games. So before those last 7 games, which their form has dipped a bit, they had like 8 goals conceded in like 16 games, which is ridiculous. That is crazy defense. That's like Chelsea 04-05 things. Like that's mad.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just what I think we need to do in the approach of the game. But Lewis, what do you reckon? Do you think we're just same system, same players, but then Callum goes on to the right wing back? What would you like to see?
What for the Atletico game? I'm not even too sure. I feel we play a similar formation.
Yeah,
but I think we should probably go for more Rhys James on the right hand side because I do want us to be a bit more defensively solid. We can't just expect Atletico to just play defensive football for 90 minutes and never even try and breach our goal. There's going to be times where we need to be solid defensively as well. Hudson-Odoi still has to find a way to get into the team. I don't think Tuchel will bench him just to play him 20 minutes and then not play him in the Atletico game. So I do think he'll start that game. Be a big game for Hudson-Odoi as well because if he has an amazing performance there, he's put his name on the world stage. If he doesn't, everyone's just going to say Tuchel was right.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Like I said, I just think we should do the right wing back role because yes, we will need to defend, but that we just shift to a back four anyway when we defend. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I just think we need to make sure we get an away goal, and we just are more likely to score when Hudson-Odoi is a right wing back compared to Rhys James. It's just as simple as that because he's a more attacking player. Kelly put in the chat, what about Pulisic? Well, we don't know whether he'll be fit, so it's difficult to judge. And same with Kai Havertz. I do presume that the reason he was on a bench yesterday, even though he's fit and back in training, is because Tuchel was like, well, if he can't play more than half an hour, kind of pointless because if I have an injury and I need to bring him on early, then I can't do it. So that's why I probably left him out. But does that make him ready to start against Atletico? I don't know. I don't know if he will. I don't think he will. But at some point, he needs to just be on the bench and get minutes there. And I don't know when it comes with the big games that we have coming up. But realistically, like we touched on already, he just needs to be there. He just absolutely has to be there. And that's just the thing. We don't know about injuries. We don't know Thiago Silva. Will he be fit to play, start? Same with Pulisic, same with Kai Havertz. But one thing I actually did forget, and I do want to talk about this because a bit of that propaganda is absolutely needed. A guy that I didn't mention yet and that we didn't touch on yet is Mr. Mason Mount. And I'm not saying he's the perfect player. I'm not. But the guy deserves so much respect for no matter who the manager is. Okay, he's played under 2, but still. No matter who the manager is, he is the guy. When things get tough, he's the guy that will try his absolute socks off to drag the entire team out of the mud. There's Very few players in the rest of the team that will try that. Reece had one moment where he just decided, I'm going to do it by myself now, and ran past 5 players. But Mount is the one that really tries in terms of pushing it, in terms of trying to create, dishing out nutmegs left, right, and centre, trying to shoot, trying to score, doing everything he can. And the one moment that triggered me about Callum yesterday, there was one moment he was played through on the right, and he had the 1 second or first touch cutback open to Mason, who was in a good position to shoot and score. And he didn't cut it back then. And I think Mason probably makes it 2-1 if Callum cuts it back in that situation. But the fact that Mason just turns it up, people were like, oh, he won't play under Tuchel. And I was getting like, I tweeted this straight when Tuchel was appointed. I was like, trust me, Mason Mount will play a lot more than all of you think. And people were having a go at me, laughing at me, whatever else. I'm like, well, there you go. He's the best player still. He's the best player still and the most consistent player. And so much respect to him, honestly, for trying that every single game. No one else is. No one else is. Not an Aspie that has 400 games. Not an, I don't know, like Rudiger is meant to be this motivational monster, apparently. And like none of them do it. None of them do it, but he does. And I think big respect has to go to him for that. Don't you think as well, Lewis?
Yeah, like Rudiger's really, really changed my thoughts on him in the last few games. Like it was his performance yesterday where he was potentially one of my man of the matches, especially because of the fact that he had to cover Marcos Alonso's Arsenal game. And he still did a solid job doing 2 people's work defensively. Yeah. And his performance in the Sheffield United game after the own goal as well, because he really could have just dropped bare howlers after that and just completely lost his head. But his performance after that was monstrous. He was amazing. So, yeah, he's gone up in my estimation over the last few games. I can't lie. He's been excellent.
For sure. But in terms of Mason as well, like Mason's just been brilliant. And like I touched on it already, like he just drags this team. Or do you not?
Mason?
Yeah, Mason Mount. I just think he drags the entire team out of the mud.
Yeah, we've spoken so many different times about Mason Mount's work rate, his energy. Is that 2-0? Nah, blocked. Yeah, we've spoken various amount of times about Mason Mount's energy, his ability to always keep himself free, keep himself up as an option. I have said I do want to see him improve his final pass. I still think that's something that is a bit of an annoyance with me when it comes to him. I don't say too much because he's one of our player of the season so far. We've had so many other players with so many glaring holes in their game. I'm not going to nitpick on Mason Mount when he's been one of our better players this season. But same way, if you want to talk about him getting to the next level, please keep your head up a little bit more because there's so many runs that he ignores when he's on the ball. And it's frustrating, but compared to everything else that he offers, I can keep quiet about it a little bit. But there's been times and there's been games where we haven't won. And I've seen moments where we're on a counter-attack or Mason Mount has the ball and we're pushing forward. Someone like probably a Werner or a Havertz has gone and made a run. Nobody's noticed it. And even in the case, that's not just Mason Mount too. Jorginho has been guilty of it a lot of times. Kovacic has been guilty of it a lot of times. Kante's been guilty of it a lot of times too. We all keep our heads down way too much. I don't know if that's maybe a tactical thing or a coaching thing because I'm seeing so many players do the exact same thing, but we ignore so many runs. Like Werner's probably frustrated with the fact that he could have double his tally right now if people just tracked his runs a bit more.
Sure. I mean, it's also a case of, and I know it's wrong, but I also think with how many chances he's missed, maybe there's a lack of trust a little bit. Not a conscious one, but a subconscious one. I don't think it's a conscious decision like Morata spoke about, but I do still think it's a little bit in the back of their minds, maybe. I don't know, but you're not wrong. But Mason still, like I said this before, the guy's 22. The guy's 22. And yes, I know we talk about Haaland and his crazy record at 20. But Mason Mount isn't a talent like Haaland is. Mason Mount is closer to a Frank Lampard in terms of he's very good in terms of talent, but he has to work to make it to the very top. And that's what Mason Mount's doing right now. He has the work rate, he has the energy, he has the ability, and he never gives up. And I have to rate it so highly. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Mod, but I think the amount of criticism by some people that he gets, especially on like Twitter, toxic place, but it's just ridiculous. Like, appreciate players for what they do.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like players' mentality, the mentality towards the game is so underrated because I remember after the Southampton game, I said like almost everyone in that team had something to learn from Mason Mount. And when Tuchel first came in and the first thing that he put out, Mount was on the bench, a lot of people were like, oh, okay, he was definitely like a Lampard's boy. He's not going to play this season and stuff like that. But he completely proved everyone wrong. And he's a player that I have so much respect for. He's literally Mr. Chelsea. He's gonna give every single thing for the club, and I feel like if every single one around him adapts that same mentality, we could have probably won that game. To be fair, because I feel like he was the only one who was truly trying, despite all odds against him. He was truly trying. So yeah, I respect him highly.
Exactly, that's it. Obviously, talent is huge, and end product is a huge part of football. Don't get me wrong at all. And I've said this before as well. Havertz is a more talented player than Mason Mount is. But if we had more players like Mason, we'd win more games. Because you don't always need to be the perfect footballer to win a football game. Otherwise, Leicester wouldn't have ever won the league. Like, they didn't win it because they're the best players. They won it because they worked their socks off more than anybody else did, quite frankly. Yes, of course, we had a shocking season and whatever else happened, right? But still, that's part of it. Atletico Madrid, yes, they have their Suarez and João Felix up top, but the entire rest of the team, they work their socks off for them to be as good as they are. And they're on the team of that do flicks left, right, and centre and no-look passes like Mr. Bloody Marcos Alonso. And everyone gave me stick. Man's doing a no-look pass. I give him stick, and man, people are having a go at me. Hudson-Odoi didn't run. I'm like, sod off. I don't care whether Hudson-Odoi ran. Man's trying to be Ronaldinho. Like, you're not Ronaldinho. Like, triggered me so much, honestly. I was fuming. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, again, subscribe to Mod and to Lewis. Both links are in the description below. Just click the ads, takes you straight to that channel. Subscribe to my channel. Help me reach 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible. And smash the like button. We have over 130 people watching, which, considering Man City Arsenal is going on, I'm quite happy with. So make sure you smash the like button. We have only hit 53 likes so far, and there's 130 plus people watching. So go down below, smash the like button. Let's get as close to 100 likes right now as we can. And just to say something, Marcos Alonso wants a 1-year extension. Thoughts? Give me your thoughts, Lewis. Marcos Alonso, go on.
Marcos Alonso wants a 1-year extension. I'm not surprised. Like, my thoughts are just don't give him a 1-year extension. We're already stuck with him for 2.5 more years. Why are we giving him another extension for? I don't know. Like, there's not really much more to add. If we give Marcos Alonso an extension, I don't know what to tell you, innit? It's like if we gave Willian that 2-year deal that he asked for last season because of a good run of games.
We offered him 2. He wanted 3. He said no to 2.
Thank God he was greedy about it, because he could have signed that 2-year deal. We'd still be stuck with his ass this season. I hope Alonso keeps that greedy mentality as well. I don't want either. As soon as we can, like, just let him go. Let him go. Like, I've said it enough already. And the Southampton game was just a great example for me of why I said Alonso's cool if you can play to his strengths, but you need to play against a team that doesn't want to play football if you want to play to Alonso's strengths. So we're not going anywhere in the long term if you play with Marcos Alonso regularly, because there's so many deficiencies in his game. It's so easy to expose him if you really wanted to, if you really wanted to play a game. We played the first team that gave us a game. Hell, Sheffield United as well, but Alonso weren't great against Sheffield United either when he came on, so my point still stands. But the Southampton game screamed for Chilwell because it's a more technical match where we played Alonso. What did Alonso do for 90 minutes? Nothing. What my point? Exactly that. So everyone's saying that we were too harsh on Alonso the last few weeks. No, we weren't. We were realistic. We know what Alonso's about. We know what he offers. We know what he doesn't offer. And he doesn't offer a lot more than he does offer. So I don't want him in the squad. If you play a Newcastle, fine. Newcastle are probably the worst team in the league right now. Cool. Burnley don't come to a top 6 side to play football. So yeah, you can play Alonso in that game. Spurs, one of the worst Spurs teams we probably ever played. Cool. Play Alonso. Now we play a semi-decent side under a good manager and a good system. Exposed. Exactly why you do not play Marcos Alonso.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more, Mod. What about yourself? And obviously the 1-year extension rumors that have been flying about. To be fair, no one said that we're actually giving it to him. It's just said that he wants it. So, let's see what happens with that. But like Lewis said, Alonso just ain't it. And I will stick by it. Doesn't matter if he has 3-4 good performances. I will say he had 3 good performances, but not that he's a good player out of nowhere.
Of course, I mean, it's no shock that he wants the extension. I mean, it's easily expected, but nah, definitely long term, we can't be having, in 2 years' time, we cannot be having a player like Alonso in our starting lineup or even on the bench, to be frank. Yeah, he has his days, but if we're trying to be a serious club and we're looking long term, this man has to head out the door. So yeah, definitely.
It's as simple as that. And to me, people tell me, but he's a goal threat. That's true. And he had 2 moments to score a goal yesterday. The volley early and then the free kick. The free kick, he took a minute to actually take it, hit it straight in the wall. Pisses me off, those things. Not just for Alonso, for everybody. When there's such a build-up for a free kick. And also, by the way, not only did he hit the free kick in the wall, we had advantage played. He got the ball after Mason was fouled. He could have just continued playing and either shoot himself or lay it off for a good crossing opportunity where Southampton were actually less organised. But he stopped play because he wanted that free kick. He wanted the glory, and then he hits it straight in the wall. Piss off. Nah, triggers me hard. I don't know. The Chilwell one, the Chilwell one is a tricky one because do I think Chilwell would have done so much better than Alonso yesterday? In terms of holding possession and helping us build up from both sides, not solely down the right, sure. Would he have helped us score? Would his crossing have been so significantly better in current form? Probably not, unless he turns up and plays better than he has done recently. Yeah, I don't know. Hence why I would have just preferred a change of formation and then play Chilwell at left back. But there's so much that was wrong with yesterday's game that it almost makes us forget that other than the front three, it wasn't that bad. Like, there was good things. Yeah, of course, we should, or not just the front three, the final third, rather. But there was good things. The way we are press-resistant now, which we totally weren't under Frank Lampard, was lovely, in my opinion. Like, I enjoyed it a lot. Okay, the Barnsley pitch didn't help us, but on an actually good pitch, a Premier League pitch, Southampton are probably, after Man City and Liverpool, the best pressing team in the league. You could say after us now, but obviously can't play against ourselves now, can we? So the third best pressing team in the league, I would argue. And they did nothing. We just passed around them as if they were Muppets, puppets, whatever. Like everything. Like it was calm. It was easy. And of course, we need players back like Pulisic, like Kai Havertz. Sure, but we still need to improve in the final third. And I'm sure Tuchel will find a way. I'm sure he does. And before I get to that last question, that Dave, do you want to? I see you're back, so put it in the chat again so I can actually ask. I don't have to scroll all the way back, please. But I just want to get any of your final thoughts, both ahead of Atletico and also in terms of yesterday's game. Do you have anything more to add on that, Lewis, or kind of touch on everything there is?
We've spoken about the back three, the midfield. Both wing backs have been spoken about. Front three as well. Yeah, like, just please, let's just go and get a few decent results against a few decent big teams in the run of games that we have now, because this was the run of games that we were worried about. These were the games I was saying, sack Lampard early so we can get a system in for this run of games. So now we need to show what we're made of. Are we going to bottle it against the top teams again? Or are we going to show exactly why we said we have one of the best squads in the league? We're going to find out in the space of 10 days. Just please, let's get some good performances. I swear down, if we go a week with beating Atletico Madrid, Manchester United and Liverpool, these men ain't seen unbearable yet. They think we're unbearable. Wait till you see the timeline. If we go and get a result at Anfield and we won 3 games on the bounce, I promise you I'm going to be the biggest dickhead on that app. And you know what? It's fucking deserved after the last month and a half. So I'm optimistic, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Chelsea, just come and make our name proud, please.
There you go. And I saw you asked that a few times, presumably, I don't know, but probably. And the last thing that maybe we didn't quite touch on enough, other than when we said he should have come off instead of Hudson-Odoi. Yesterday was kind of proof what I was scared of with Timo, because everyone said, no, he just needs a goal. Just ignoring the fact that he already scored against Morecambe, saying, yeah, it was only a League 2 team, it doesn't count. Well, he already scored, then he scored against Newcastle, and apparently it doesn't count either, because he was back to being absolutely shocking yesterday. He was acceptable. Really, he wasn't, but it was acceptable against Spurs, won the winning pen, right? Was good against Sheffield United, won the penalty, assisted the goal. Was decent against Newcastle, should have scored 2 or 3, but at least he scored 1. And yesterday was back to being dreadful. Shocking touches, shocking runs, shocking passes, shocking left, right, and centre. How are you right-footed, playing on the left and never cutting tight and shoot? How's that a thing? Like, what? What's the point in you then? Like, honestly, I'm going to what Lewis said now. Lewis said weeks ago, just play him on the right because he's useless on the left. And you're not wrong, but my logic was make him shoot on his right more because to cut inside. But he doesn't do that anyway, so might as well play him on the right. Well, before I get your very final thoughts, do you have anything to add on Werner there, Mod, or just no more to say?
I feel like Timo Werner is a player that I don't want to see him on the ball unless he's in the penalty box and he's about to shoot, because on the ball he's a very very funny player, man. He does not know how to dribble to save his life. So yeah, it's a very very funny one, to be honest.
It is a funny one. And other than that, do you have any final thoughts on the game and about ahead of Atletico that you want to share with us? Obviously, now that you are on the channel for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, this is a make or break, honestly, in my opinion, for our season. This is the real test for Tuchel, the real test for the boys. I just pray to God that we can salvage something from it, and hopefully we can progress in the Champions League and win a fair amount of those difficult games. I'm really hoping to beat United because these men are too loud. United and Liverpool. Hopefully, these two people at least we can do something. And yeah, we remain in the top four at the end of everything.
Hopefully, bloody hopefully. That's what I hope for. Like, obviously, we dropped out of the top four today with West Ham, obviously winning against Spurs. And then, because I promised it to Dave, let's finish it on this one. Let's ask these questions. I will ask them to both of you.
Oh, quick fire. Let's go.
There you go. Exactly. Alaba or Haaland, who you picking, Lewis?
Oh, Haaland. Haaland.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Mod?
We've already got the defensive options we need in depth, so I could be cool with just getting Haaland in.
For sure. Like, I think it's a no-brainer, really. Like, I'm Austrian. I'd still rather Haaland. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Win the Premier League or win the Champions League? Mod?
Champions League. It's been a minute, so yeah, Champions League.
I agree. Lewis?
Yeah, Champions League as well. That's the only trophy I would take over a league title. That trumps it. Biggest trophy in England versus the biggest trophy in Europe. Damn right I know which one I'm picking.
For sure. Especially like Mod said, it's been a minute. Premier League ain't quite that long ago. So if we were like Liverpool and hadn't won the league in 30 years, but the Champions League, sure ago, I would probably say Prem. But as it is, it's like that. And Yusuf, by the way, I know it's your thing. So drop us 2 quick-fire questions as well, and we'll leave it on that. And then the last one, trust your bad team, say 4-5-6-0, or win against a good team, but only 1-0. I will add the caveat, it's not a rival, because otherwise it's too obvious. It's not necessarily a big rival, just a good team. What would you choose there, Mod?
I feel like I would say we win against a good team, regardless of the scoreline, because that just shows how dominant you are. So yeah, we win with a good team, even though it's just 1-0.
There you go. Lewis, you as well?
Yeah, same as well. I'd go for the 1-0 win as well, because you can thrash the small teams, but if you can't beat the big teams, you're just Chelsea under Lampard. So you see exactly where that leaves you. Like you beat a big team 1-0. You know what the saying is: goals win you games, but good defense wins you titles. That's exactly what it's for. Those big 1-0 games against your top 6 rivals. So yeah, I'd go for the 1-0.
For sure, like, I couldn't agree more. And Yusuf hasn't put anything in there yet, so I'm going to just start the outro. If he puts anything in the chat by then, we'll obviously touch on it quickly. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to leave it here. Thank you massively for watching. Like I said, I will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. with Matisse to, preview the Atletico Madrid game, also with your expert who will give us some very good, hopefully, analysis of Atletico, which, we might not have an idea of because we don't watch them week in, week out, do we now? But like I said, massive thank you to Lewis and, of course, CFC Mod, just mods, whatever, for coming on. Really appreciate it. Like I said many times already, his link, Lewis's link, both down in the description. Just click the ads in the description. Subscribe to both of them because, they obviously both deserve it. Mod has only started this recently. So, definitely I need to big it up right now. Of course, follow both of them on Twitter if you don't already, but probably you do. So, let's just do that. But subscribe to me. Subscribe to me if you're still watching this. Subscribe to my channel. Help me reach 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Road to 10K. About to hit or have hit 8,500. So 1.5K away. We can do this hopefully as soon as possible. Smash the like button. There's still 116 if you're watching. So everyone that hasn't just yet, go down below, smash the like button right now. As I love to say, doesn't cost you any money, barely cost you any time. We'll just keep talking anyway. So quickly do that. I would appreciate that. And as the last thing, the last quickfire question by Yusuf. Tomori back or Alaba? Quick, easy question for me, but mods.
Oh man, I'm biased towards Tomori, man. I really, really, really like Tomori. So
you look like him.
Everyone says this, so yeah, just for that, I want to go my boy Tomori. To be fair.
Oh God, no.
It's a sticky one. It's a bit of a sticky one because I think if we get Alaba, that's immediate success done for the next 4 or 5 years defensively. We're all sorted. Going forward, though. Because Tomori would be the better long-term option. That's actually a really good question. AC Milan fans are also so impressed with him right now. They all want him. They all want AC Milan to sign him up serious. So,
but were they impressed with him today when they were battered 3-0 by Inter?
Didn't play, man.
That's why.
They're saying he shouldn't play. And that adds the points even more. So, yeah, like it's a sticky one, and there's no disrespect to Alaba, but I'm going Tomori still.
Fair. Then the next question is: be fast, but don't know how to shoot, or know how to shoot, but be slow. Let me go with you first, Lewis. Like, basically, do you want to be Timo Werner or do you want to be Alan Shearer?
I'm slow anyway, so I'll go know how to shoot. So that'll just be something I can add to my resume. So yeah, I'll go for that. You gotta have the technical ability first, in my opinion. You can work around the athleticism afterwards.
For sure, Mud.
Yeah, easy. They don't remember you for being fast. If you score the goals, that's all that matters. So yeah.
Yeah, then you just have a football career like Usain Bolt did. No one needs that. I mean, you could win the gold medal in sprinting, which is quite sick, but you know. That's that. And then lastly, visit Iceland or Mexico. I prefer Mexico. I already live in the cold in Austria. I have snow here. I don't need to go to Iceland for it. I mean, yeah, Northern Lights be sick in that. I mean, to be fair, we found out that Mod lives in the snow as well because man takes pictures in Dubai. It makes it look like snow's everywhere. I know it's funny. I don't know how you did that, but it was good. But would you rather go Iceland or Mexico, Mod?
Nah, Mexico for sure, man. It's on my list to visit as well. So yeah, Mexico.
There you go. Lou, you as well?
I prefer my warm-up setting, so I'm gonna go for Mexico.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no chance Lewis goes anywhere. It's cold.
Exactly, man. I am good. I saw half of those Europa League away days, and I was like, I'm good, man. I'm out.
There you go. But guys, thank you guys for watching. I said it again. I'm, not run through the entire outro again, but subscribe to these guys. Subscribe to me. Smash the like button. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon. And someone said in the chat, will I do a ratings show after Tuesday? Of course I will. So tune in for that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, and I'll see you next time.